Good afternoon, everyone. This is Ryan Olsen with the Caricature Carvers of America, and I'm here joining International Woodcarvers today, talking about creativity. Have you ever struggled with creativity? Have you ever wished you were more creative and wanted to create unique and new artwork? Well, you may want to tune in today because we're going to be talking about baby steps and how to get there.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. It's a little bit after 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today is the 15th of November, and I want to thank you for coming in to the International Association of Woodcarvers. I apologize right off the bat. I'm a little under the weather, so sound a little squeaky today, and I'll probably not do as much talking as I normally do for that reason. So you're welcome up front. I'll just go ahead and say that. Before we get started, I do want to tell you a couple of things. One, Guy Nelson is still doing auctions to benefit Chris Hammock. It's over on Facebook. If you want to go to his page, he's got a Helvy knife that's up there right now that's going to finish right at the time our meeting is over. So if you want to bid and donate money to Chris for his cancer treatments, make sure you go over to Guy Nelson's page and bid there. He's going to have some other items too that are going to be out on eBay. I'll be putting those out on social media this week. So if you all want to go out and bid on those there, you can also do it there. Tell you a little bit about some classes that are coming up. Remember, if you want to take classes, you can go out and check out the workshops on Woodcarving Academy. Dwayne Gosnell has a couple coming up. He's got one starting December the 9th on carving Rufus. Dave Stetson, who's on with us, has a class coming up December the 6th, carving a human figure with dynamic movement. And Ryan Olsen, who we have on our meeting today, is going to be talking about his class that's coming up January the 3rd, creativity through miniatures. So we look forward to that and look forward to hearing what Ryan has to share. Again, today on our meeting, we have Ryan Olsen. We won't have any meetings from now until the first weekend in December. We're going to take a couple Saturdays off. Thanksgiving's coming up, got family coming in and stuff. So I just want to make you all aware that our next meeting will be December the 6th. It's with Roger Stegall, and Roger's going to come in and do a demonstration for us. I'm working on getting people lined up for the rest of December. So I'll be placing that out on social media, and I'll also make sure that's announced on the 6th. Before we get started with Ryan, I want to go ahead and turn it over to Dave Stetson, who normally does our words of wisdom. And Dave, we look forward to hearing what you have to share with us.
Hey, sharp tools, dull tools teach sharp lessons about preparation. Time spent sharpening is never wasted. In progress over perfection.
Thank you, Dave. We appreciate that. I think that's something that we've all struggled with, is making sure that our tools are sharp so that carving is a joy. And it's a whole lot easier when you have sharp tools, for sure. Again, today on our meeting, one of my favorite carvers out there, great guy. We've had him on a couple times before. I always look forward to having Ryan in. We've got Ryan Olsen with us. He's going to be talking to us about creativity and how to find that and how that comes through in your wood carving. So, Ryan, I just want to say thanks for coming on today, and we're going to go ahead and turn it over to you and see what you have to share with us.
Well, hey, thank you. I appreciate it. And it's good to also see all of you on this Saturday afternoon. And been doing a lot of thinking about what I wanted to talk about and share today because my thoughts are I wanted to share things that are going to move the needle the very most we possibly can for all of you out there that are spending the time to watch and listen. And there are a lot of great carving tutorials that you can find and see, and I've done some great ones, and they are really an important thing. But I think that very often we don't work hard enough on ourselves as artists to get to the next level. And so I did a lot of thinking about what can help so many of you out there elevate what you're doing to the next level. And what I came up with is I wanted to spend some time today talking to you about creativity. And I wanted to spend some time today, hopefully inspiring you maybe to think differently, and hopefully be able to change the way you think about your wood carving and change the way you approach your wood carving. And first of all, talking about creativity, I am a little offended that in our culture we think that creativity is for kids, the children, and for the old people in retirement homes. They're the ones that should be creating. It's a luxury, and the rest of us. The rest of us don't have the time or energy to do it because we're out living our real lives. And I think I know that that's absolutely wrong. That creativity is for everyone. And so many of us, I've had times in my life when it was hard to create because I felt like my entire world was burning down and things were crashing to the ground. And how can I create right now? How can I take time out of my busy schedule to be selfishly creating something right now when I've got 4 mouths to feed at home, when I've got a mortgage to pay, my radiator's leaking antifreeze, I've got all of this stuff. And everything changed for me when I kind of flipped the switch and I realized about myself that creativity really it's not an option. It's got to be a part of what I do. Just the same way that many people have to exercise every single day. I mean, there's so many of you out there that you through your lives 20 minutes of exercise a day, and if you didn't get it, you didn't feel like you were complete or whole. Well, I dare guess that pretty much everybody watching this video right now has to create, and that it is a huge part of who you are. And that the need and desire to create is part of you being healthy and part of your very existence. Really, not just you guys, but every single human being needs to create. We all have that need to create and be creative. They've done studies that have proven that if you are creating something for 45 minutes, your cortisol levels will drop to the floor. I mean, 45 minutes of working and creating something, it just drops those cortisol levels, because what happens is you are completely in charge. That while you're creating, it demands your full focus and your full attention. And when you are able to give that full focus and able to give that full attention, then you become completely in charge. And so creativity is a way for us to bring order to our day, and it's a way for us to bring order to our lives. And so my suggestion is put a premium on that. My suggestion is set aside time when you are going to be creating. Set aside a time in your day, set aside a time in your life when you are creating, and that's your time. You can call it whatever you will, but in the seat time or creative time, or I'm going to my studio time. But you really, in a world that's as busy as it is for all of us, you've got to set aside that time, and you've got to make it a priority, and just see what that will do for you. And then I wanted to say that just a second. Oh yeah. I also wanted to say, I had a discussion with my choir kids yesterday as I was because those of you that don't know, I teach high school choir, and I love teaching high school students, and I have a pretty creative group of students. And one of the kids brought me a song, and they played it for the whole class. They said, "Mr. Olsen, I want you to hear this song. You're going to love this singer." And so they got their laptop out and they brought up this singer and they were playing it for us. And the whole class was listening to the singer singing this amazing song. It was so soulful and so beautiful. And we were all just into the music. And they said, Mr. Olsen, what do you think about the singer? And I said, well, I think that was technically pretty great. I said, I think he's got a lot of soul and got a lot of passion, got a lot of heart. And the students all started laughing at me, and they said, Mr. Olsen, that whole song was AI. That entire song was AI. And my heart dropped, and I got a little disappointed, a little depressed at first, and I thought, well, crap, they got me. And but then we started talking. The conversation that we had in the classroom was, what's this going to do to our creativity as human beings? What is the fact that a computer can do it faster and cheaper than you can? What's it going to do to our creativity? And the students had some incredible insight and some incredible thoughts. I think as we get older, it's hard for us to adjust to new ways of thinking, but these kids, they're not afraid of this. I found that these kids are not afraid of what's coming down the pipe. And they said, Mr. Olsen, you got to know that people are always going to connect to the work of other human beings, that people are always going to crave that. They're always going to crave authentic work that's done by other people. And they said, Mr. Olsen, even if in 20 years we're only going to listen to live music, is that a horrible thing? I mean, if people just say, I'm not listening to music anymore on the computer because I can't even trust it, it's created by a human, I'm just going to listen to live music now. Is that a horrible thing? And is that a horrible thing for artists if people say, no, I want to see carvings that are done by human beings, and I want to see the human being that did it and look him in the eye and know that he created this work of art. And they said, Mr. Olsen, because when you see something human, you can connect with the experience of the person creating it. And you can look them in the eye and you can feel their pain. You can feel the things that are in that work, and realize that no matter how that happens, there's always going to be a huge need. As a matter of fact, maybe bigger need than ever for human creativity. So if you're telling yourself, the world doesn't need my creativity anymore because we've got robots that can do it easier, cheaper, faster, you're completely off base. The world is more than ever going to need your creativity, and the world is more than ever going to need what you have to offer. But more than them needing it, you need it. More than the world needing creativity, you need that creativity. You need to find the time to make this art. You need to find the time to express. And if you find that time, you're going to find that your world is going to make a whole lot more sense to you. You're going to feel that you're going to have a lot more to say in this world. You know, we live in a fast-paced world of addictions all over the place. And so many people have addictions, and I think most of us are addicted to these phones. And here's another interesting thing. These kids in my school, you don't see cell phones in my school anymore, which you're probably thinking that's crazy. No, that I saw probably the first cell phone out that I had seen in my choir class for months, since the beginning of the year. And the other kids looked at him like, Noah, why do you have your phone out? We're here together. We're here making music. And we were all disappointed. And it made me realize that these smart kids are starting to realize that it is sapping our souls, that it is sucking away our creativity. If you can put that phone away and truly create, and we're going to talk about what that looks like and what true creation from your heart, from your soul looks like. We're going to talk about that today. One more thing is, in part of this, for you to be able to create, you got to develop your confidence in your creativity. How do I how do I develop confidence and creativity? And how I'm just not a very creative person. I get that a lot. I carvers all the time. I get to teach carvers all over the place. And all the time carvers say to me, they'll see the original works that I've made or that other carvers have made. And they'll say, I just don't think like that. I can look at something and recreate it, but I'm just not a creative person. And that's bunk. That's bunk. There's creativity inside of you. Inside of every one of you, there is creativity. You have just told yourself that you don't have it, and you have just told yourself that you can only copy, when really you're stifling your own creativity. Now, it's tough if you're coming from the engineer part of it and you're coming from the woodworking part of it. It's really hard to flip the switch. If you're coming from the place where you've followed plans and creating woodworking, and you've made tables and with certain measurements, and that's how you've thought, then you're going to have to rewire. You're going to have to rewire your brain a little bit to get there. And it's going to take some time, but it's like a muscle. Creativity is like a muscle, and the more you flex it, the more creative you're going to become. And so I just wanted to lay the foundation of the importance of it. Before we even get into the how, you need to know the why. And the why is so that you can, and how about this? Have you thought about this? Maybe you want to leave something behind. Maybe you want to leave a legacy behind when you're not going to be here on this earth forever. And I have carvings of people that I love that aren't here anymore that I can look at, and every time I look at them, they're here again, and I can almost hear their voice. I can see them, and imagine those grandkids, imagine those children of yours having an ornament that you've created, or having a piece of artwork that you've created. And every time they look at it, being able to remember you, being able to think of you. I mean, that in a way creates a legacy. Immortality, probably not. But some of these carvings that you've created, they may be around for hundreds of years. And so by leaving things that you've created, that's another way of just really grounding yourself and making it all make sense to you. So there's the why. There's the why. Now I want to spend quite a bit of time today talking about the how. I want to title this lecture or this talk today, "Baby Steps in Creativity," because it's going to, for some of you, it's going to be baby steps. For some of you, it's going to be how do I just jumpstart this when I haven't been doing it at all? How do I create these baby steps? Well, a big one is surround yourself with things that are going to inspire you. So surround yourself with things that are going to inspire you to be creative. So I just have recently got my studio put together here, and I'm sitting my butt on this chair because I'm tired, but I'm going to take you on a quick tour from my chair here. Maybe. Yes, there we go. There we go. So my wife and I moved to Logan, and I'm down in the basement here in Logan. And I put some shelves up, and I've got some of my artwork there and shelves. I got my video game system because, there's a lot of times when I got to go and play some Galaga while I'm carving, or play some Pac-Man. I've got all those Defender. I got all the good ones there. And then I've got a lot of artwork here that inspires me. I won't take you through all of it, but these are things when I walk into my studio I can look at. Most of them are things that I've done, but I've got, down here I've got some Dave Dunham castings, and I'll pick one of these up and look at the creative genius of that guy, and I'll just be inspired. I've got a number of castings down there, and then I've got just different things just different carvings that inspire me. Now I've had to hold fast on keeping some of these things because I wanted to have inspiration pieces of some of my best work, and so that I can look at it and be inspired. And then I try to surround myself with I try to surround myself with carvings that are going to Donkey Kong is my outlet. I like that. I like to surround myself with carvings that are going to inspire me. And I want to take a second and talk about some of these things and some of these carvings that inspire me. This is, you guys probably recognize this style. Matter of fact, I'm not going to tell you right away. I'm going to see on the chat who can guess this wood carver. Look at the chips. Look at the lighter paint. Look at the hands. Text it. We'll see who gets it. Let's keep our eye on it, Blake. Let's see who can guess this wood carver. While you guys are thinking about it, this is called Hanyak that he did. So there's a number of things about this carving that inspire me. Myron Compton. Myron got it. Myron said Phil Bishop, and you got it. So this one was a Phil Bishop. This was done back in 1999. So we're talking, 25, 26 years ago. And I love Phil. I love how busy this carving is. I love how, I mean, you look at these jeans and you look at the small facets there that he used on that. You look at the light paint that he did, and Phil taught all over the country. And it is a beauty. And Phil would paint, and then he'd take a t-shirt and wipe the paint off to get so that all the high points were light, and then he would take the paint and shade the dark points. But this just inspires me. I kept an eye on it, and there was a time somebody was having a sale, and I jumped on it. I won't tell you how great of a deal I got on it, but I got it for under a couple $100, which is pretty great. And so looking at that and then being inspired by it, I took that inspiration and then I took my creativity. Now, this is not, this is more of a study. I'm not going to call this like completely my own work, but as inspired by Phil. Look, let's see, here we go. So here's Phil's, here's mine. Inspiration. Phil, I loved what Phil did with the pants. And so I said, let's see if I can figure out the nuts and bolts of how he did that. Worked my way through it. And again, I'm always going to give Phil credit on this. I'm not stealing his style, but in a way, I'm trying to absorb his style and creativity. Now, notice a few things. Notice I changed the color. Notice I changed even the hat. I did kind of a different hat than he did. I wanted to change a few things, but this is inspired by Phil Bishop. And so what Phil did in creating this is now a part of me. And getting to sit in some of his classes to see how he creates. Show you another one here. This one is Ed Zinger. Oh, I shouldn't have told you. You should have let you guys guess. But this is an Ed Zinger. Now, simple and kind of rough, but man, like when you see an Ed Zinger carving, you just want to pick that thing up and put your hands on it and look at it. I ended up taking this one because I was inspired by it and creating my own. I had a guy holding a beer stein. I wish I still had it, but I had somebody that gave me an offer I couldn't refuse, and they've got it in there. They've got it now. Yeah, that's an Ed Zinger. I really like that. And I like the simplicity of that pants leg. I like the long facets he did on that leg. Look at that. They go all the way down. He did kind of not much heel on his feet, kind of a Randy Landon type of a foot there. Just simple face, giant hat. That just inspired me. So inspiration. Okay. I'm not going to tell you this next one. Another wood carver just completely inspires me. Still very alive and well, and he's probably taught many of you. I'll have to see when you if you get it, go ahead and text it in. But look at this carving. Gary Phelan, there you go. Blake got it. And I'm sure a lot of you have taken a class from Gary Phelan. His Gary will carve those eyes so that they just draw you in. And if you see some of my carvings, that's been a huge influence on what I do. Like looking at those eyes, and those small eyes really draw you in. He's got a pretty red nose there and pretty red cheeks. Now he did the head and the body all in one piece. He took the time to put all of the detail in those bullets. And when I look at a Gary Phelan piece, I remember don't be afraid to take time to do all these details. The gun's separate. So I have this, he carved this gun and then he doweled it on. So that was an inspiration to me. I love the way he did that. Look at the movement lines as the feet are stretching those boots. I've done a lot of feet with that, using that inspiration. The way he did this belt buckle, so that it's the way he did the belt buckle correctly. And Gary taught me how to do a belt buckle right, because I was carving the clasp on the wrong side. And every time I look at this piece, I'm reminded to do my belt buckles right. Gary carves hats so beautifully. And Gary he taught me how to hold a hat up to the light and look at that light coming through the hat. And that's when you know the hat's getting thin. And so I'll pull this out on a night when I'm doing nothing. I'll pull this thing out and be inspired. Just have a piece around me that just inspires me. Okay, this one's going to be a little harder. This one's going to be a trickier one. We'll see who can get this one. I'll wait, class. We'll see who can come up with this. I'll give you a little hint. He wrote a book on carving his cowboys in 1984 or so. I think it was right in there. I'll give you another hint. Nobody's answering it yet. This is a bust. He also did a book on carving busts. Let's see if this helps. This one's called Your Place or Mine. Dave got it. It's Claude Bolton. And so Claude's been an inspiration to me lately. And as I'm looking at the work of a lot of carvers, like looking at the work of a lot of cowboys that have come after him, like even a Cleve Taylor. I think Claude was a huge influence on Cleve, just as I've seen some of Cleve's stuff. And he influenced on me, on all of us. So as I'm looking at this, first of all, I'm noticing, okay, so the style and the time with Claude and with it was a little bit more proportional. He didn't play with the proportions of the human body as much as a lot of them do today. But as I look at the tool markings, so Claude really wanted to leave these tool markings, and look how attractive that is. Just running this number 5 or whatever it is right along here, and those tool markings. Claude did the head separate, and then put it on so that he could turn it just the right amount. He has those Andy Anderson looking boots. You can tell he was inspired by Andy Anderson's boots and ankles. I mean, and look at those boots. I mean, just look at that. This Claude Bolton piece I picked up at the CCA Carving the Rockies. Somebody had it at their table and for a couple $100, and I said, I got to have that. And it has inspired me. I mean, Claude's immortal because of his creativity, still inspiring me. There's a number of things. Look at the color, the light blue with the red. That's pretty brilliant. These are almost complementary tones. And look how simple he kept the color scheme. Just dark blue pants and a light blue shirt. And then he's just got a red, and he's got that red kerchief. Yeah. All right. Let's keep moving along here. This one, there's one of you in this class that cannot answer this. That's all I'm going to say. And I will tell you right now, this may be the if not my favorite cowboy I own, one of my top 2 favorite cowboys I own. Can anybody guess this artist? This is the man Myron. Myron Compton he's one of my heroes as far as what he does. So some of the things that are mind-blowing about Myron's work, number one, Myron is so clean. I mean, you look at how clean this head and this face are. I mean, look at that. And then he is a consummate pro when it comes to choosing colors and subtlety. Oh, you got it, Myron. Well, I'm not. I really, this is one of my favorite. And anytime you have any carvings you don't know what to do with, you just send them my way. And look at the subtlety that Byron used as he painted this. So he's got those jeans are really pretty light. And so when I looked, I have spent a lot of time studying this. And Myron and I have texted back and forth. How did you do this? How did you achieve this? How did you get this incredible subtle paint that is just alive? And he was willing to share with me. So this piece inspires me now, and this piece will inspire me 20 years from now, 30 years from now. I'll be looking at this piece and just being, man, that's an incredible carving. More inspiration pieces. Let's go to a this one is we're gonna go deeper here. I don't know if anybody's gonna get this one, but this is really quite an incredible carving. Look at this. He's got his hands in his buckle. This is just and look how clean this carving is. And as I'm looking at the paint, I don't even know if this carving has a finish on it beyond the acrylic paint. It's got the acrylic paint on it, but it may have a very light coat. Can anybody know who this is? I love the way he's done this hat so that it's flat. I mean, you look at this. Dave, it's Keith Morrell. He's got it. Dave's got it. It's Keith Morrell, CCA member, passed away a number of years ago, and I had the joy of getting to know him and getting to carve with him. A really great guy. Katie, I do too. And I not that he's underrated, but even if he's a very underrated carver because this is pretty great. Look at his eyes. Get some better lighting there for the eyes. And he drew. Here's something about this that inspires me. Look at the checker pattern that he put on that vest, the crosshatch that he put with a fine pin. That's obviously put on there with a fine pin. Look at that little red scarf there. There's just a number of things, very clean. So I'm going to share with you in a little bit what I plan to do. I've got plans for this carving, and we're gonna kind of talk about that. Okay, got another one here. All right, this is carved by a good friend and a really great mentor. You have people in your life that change the trajectory of your life at a certain point. This carver changed the trajectory of my life. What are your guesses? Anybody have a guess? Give you a hint. Look at those. See if I can get some light on these eyes. There you go. Look at those eyes. Those eyes are very telling, very unique eyes. Look at the rough cuts. And look at the antiquing style that he did. Yeah, I do too. Katie, the Keith's body was very well done. Look at these lines in the neck right here. I love the way he did this 5 o'clock shadow. I love the way he did this hair. This is style. I mean, this is style all over the place.
Chris
This
Hammock.
It's a good guess. It's a good guess. Nope, it's not. I love the details of the skin and chin. Yeah, and even that hat, that's a very thin hat. Very thin hat. You're right, Dave. It's Cleve Taylor. And Cleve is still alive and well today and kicking in Boise, Idaho, and a huge inspiration. He wrote a number of books. If you ever get a chance to buy one of Cleve's books, buy it. But I have some inspiration pieces up here that, this, for example, this one that I did right here. This is straight just me being inspired by Cleve Taylor. I mean, and I'm unabashed. This is just like Cleve Taylor inspired. Like I used his Mr. Bojangles and from his book, the whole deal. And the underbite with the teeth, that is a Cleve Taylor inspiration. One of my first wood carving classes, Dave Stetson was there probably 30 years ago, something like that, when Cleve taught this in Twin Falls, Idaho, and inspired. And his style is a huge part of what I do today. So there's another one. Okay, I've got a couple more here. All right, look at this piece. Look at this piece here. So look at the feet. The feet are telling. His feet, you can almost tell is Dave's best buddy, Steve Prescott. And you can definitely tell Steve Prescott's feet. And I'll never forget when I got this carving, Steve called me. We were I can't remember, Wichita maybe, and Steve Prescott called me to his hotel room, and he had a bunch of carvings there, and he said, "You pick whichever one you want." And this is the one I wanted, and the reason I wanted this one was because I love the way he did the dry brush on the jacket. I love the way he did the dry brush on the pants, and it has inspired me. Also, he wasn't afraid to carve a smaller hat. That's like a bowler style hat. That's not a large cowboy hat. It's a smaller hat. And look at this base. He put it on a big old base, it made me think, that's fun. That big base is inspiring. And then this is another thing, he's got this little Cowtown Carving Company, Fort Worth, Texas. An original wood carving by Steve Prescott. Right here was on there, this little tag, and I love that. I've left that on there, but I thought I need to do that. And then also inspired by his little brand that he created. Really cool seeing this brand. Inspiring piece. This I'll just take out and inspires my creativity. Now, if you'll notice, these are all cowboys. And there was a time when I didn't want to do cowboys. I guess right now I'm into cowboys. That's what I'm into. See if some of you guys will see if this will inspire any of you, or any of you recognize this one. This was on this particular carving was on the cover of, I think this actual one, was on the cover of Woodcarving Illustrated. You that's Chris Hammock. You got it. So Chris, there's so many things that inspire me about his carvings. And he as a person inspires me, but Chris he's not afraid to, when he carved this, he wasn't afraid to tempt fate with the wood grain. Those thumbs are pretty breakable. And look how dark the finish is on that, the paint. I mean, look at the dark finish on that jacket, and look how gnarly that rawhide is on that. I mean, it just looks like a bowl on that jacket. And he put some really dark some really dark antiquing on there. And I've done some pieces and I've said, I've been inspired by this and have said, I'm going to do some dark antiquing because I'm inspired by that, by his antiquing. Look at this cowboy hat, and the movement in it. Just talking about little things, one of the things on the cowboy hat that inspired me, he used a pretty small U-gouge on there and look at all the facets on that hat that are just interesting to look at. Again, he's got that underbite, those teeth, like those two white teeth just sticking out of there are pretty incredible. Now, this next one, this is an inspiration piece, even though this doesn't have Harold Enlow's name on it. He carved this face. I mean, this one is Jim Bordston class done in a Harold Enlow class in 1983. And you look at those eyes, Harold carved those eyes and that mustache. That's why I bought it. Randy had it. Randy Landon had it at his house, and I just had to have that because it inspires me. And then I look at the proportion. He is a pretty well proportioned figure. I mean, that's not a giant head and a small body. I mean, that whole thing is pretty proportional. Just some of my big inspirations. Here's another inspiration. Somebody in this class can't answer this one, but this wood carver has absolute style. I mean, you can smell his style a mile away.
Dave Stetson.
And every carving he does, it's his. But also, he'll be the first to tell you his creativity was not formed in a bubble. He's picked the brains of the reason he has such a creative style is because he has picked the brains of artist after artist after artist and incorporated them in what he does. There's so many things here that are great. One of the things for me that really blows me away on this, the paint wrinkles. I mean, look at the wrinkles on that pant. That is innovative and unique. The fact that he went that tight with the wrinkles on the pants, that is very innovative. And then look at the high contrast between large. He wasn't afraid to leave some large areas of flat, and then contrasting that with just some areas of high detail. So you've got this big flat hat that he didn't overdo. He let the hat just speak the large shape, and then you've got all of these details on the face that just draw your face right in. And a paint style that he's developed over years that's just him, which, by the way, I've played with a lot and used a lot in what I did. As a matter of fact, like here, this is one that I painted the other day. Used his exact painting technique. I used the boiled linseed oil, and then I used the sienna in all of the dark spots. And then, I mean, it's just kind of step for step what he does or what he teaches. And I'm not afraid to say it. And seeing this carving inspires me and makes me a better carver. And I have a bunch more cowboys from different carvers. These are the ones that I wanted to grab that just kind of come to my head more, that the most that have just kind of inspired me lately. And so I just want to say, let me flip this back around. Okay. So I just want to say to surround yourself with inspiration pieces if you can. And also in doing this, support your fellow caricature artists if you can. If you get a chance and if you see a piece that somebody has carved and you love it, just ask them, what would it take for me to have that piece? And if they don't want to sell it, they'll tell you. I really don't ever market any of my pieces, but if somebody says, what would it take for me to have that piece? And I'll say $500, and they'll say, all right. And there's the joke that everything's for sale. If it's important for you to have an inspiration piece and to support these other carvers, I would say do it. I want to just take a second here and make a plug while I'm about this. So as you guys have probably heard, and I'm sure you've talked about here, the Caricature Carvers of America, we're going to be taking our show on the road, and we're going to be in Stevens Point, Wisconsin, next September. And with that, there's going to be opportunities to pick up some carvings like this. You'll see some CCA folks there. You'll see some others. Get there, and if you see something you love, pick it up, and you'll have it as an inspiration piece down the road, and it can help inspire your creativity. Now, with that, and with talking about creativity, I also wanted to just take a second and talk about the competition. I was just on the phone 2 days ago with Dwayne Gosnell, and he is our competition chairman. He and I work together quite a bit on the competition. And the thing that he wanted you to know is that we're going to be rolling out our category here probably in January. We're going to have a special category this year, and he's going to announce what that is, but we're going to have all of the same categories that we've had are going to be open in Stevens Point. And one of the things I wanted to say is that when we talk with our judges each year and are kind of talking about what is important to the CCA, getting the judges ready, creativity is a premium. Right at the top of the list is creativity. And that's huge. And really in any competition, if you want to do well in any competition, create something unique and different. It'll help you. And particularly in the CCA competition, bring something that's totally wild, off the wall, with some different style. Those are the things that I end up looking at. Joe McMullen's in this room today, and every time I see a Joe McMullen carving, I can't take my eyes off of it because it's different. He's a graphic artist, and he brings that graphic design with him to the work that he creates, and it's unique, different, and it's wonderful and highly creative. And we need more creativity. You don't have to carve. You don't have to carve like Chris. You're welcome, Joe. You don't have to carve like Chris Hammock to be a caricature carver. Matter of fact, he'd be the first to say, get your own style and create your own style. And so another thing that I will do to expand my creativity and taking styles of carvers. This is let me pull this one up. This is one that I just said I want to emulate. I want to just emulate a carver that I like. So this is I took a Gene Zesch photo and just played with it. Just said, what would happen if I tried to get kind of a Gene Zesch look? And so really long, I made some really long legs. I put the head on the body, and I tried to do some bold cuts just to see if I could bring some of what he does into my style. Just take some of that into my style. Okay, so we're going to come back now to thank you, Myron. We're going to come back now into your baby steps on creativity and your course that you're going to chart here in the next little while. Number one is change something. So many of you guys go around, if you get a chance to come to any of these, like a Renegade Woodcarvers Roundup or Rocky Mountain Carver or any of these different classes that you go to, when you're carving something, change something, at least something. And if you don't want to change something in the class, then at least change the paint scheme. Create your own paint scheme. And that's one place that you can totally control it's an easy change, it's an easy shift, and it's going to take you down the road of creating your own work. So your own colors, pick your own, change the color of the shirt, change the color of, and create a paint scheme. That's one small change. And then another one is just a small change to the clothing or to props that your carving has. So you could change, go from like a long sleeve shirt, make it a short sleeve shirt. Go to, if he has a handkerchief on, try carving him without a handkerchief. Try just putting the collar and getting rid of the neckerchief. So make a small change in the clothing that your carving is wearing. And I would dare say I can pretty much speak for any of the CCA instructors. Yeah, I think they'll all be okay with you. If you're in one of their classes and you say, hey, I want to do this a little different. I want to carve suspenders on him. Okay, yeah, go for it. And you can tell them what you're doing. And I would dare say any teacher that's worth their salt is going to get behind that and say, yeah, do it. So take in any carving that you do, if you're a rough out person and you say, I only do rough outs and I do classes and that's what I love, well, then you can start by changing the clothing just a little bit. And then the next thing is try to develop your own style for some simple things, simple features, like develop your own style for ears, what you do. And speaking of ears, we've got our book is coming out, the CCA. We're doing a book on, or we already did it. Oh, we already did a book on ears. Yes. If you haven't gotten a chance to pick up that book on ears, grab it. It's got a whole bunch of different ears, but create your own style. And when you're carving that person's carving, do your ear on there. Create your own style for buttons and do the button that you like. That's going to start sending you down the path of creating it your way and developing your own style. And then eventually you want to get to where you're changing those rough outs more and more. And then you want to get to where you're looking at a rough out and you're going to say, I'm going to create something totally different on this rough out. And that was our idea when we created our book. The CCA created our book in Thinking Inside the Rough Out. That was the idea, was to inspire you to be able to take the book and see all of these options from one rough out. So we have the one rough out, and there are so many different carvings that were done from that one rough out. And that was to inspire your creativity. So grab a rough out, and you can go online and find so many different rough outs, and you can buy one with the purpose of, I'm going to create something different with this rough out. And then try to change it as much as you can. And the more you do that, the better you're going to get at changing those rough outs. And then the next step, and this is the one that I think holds up a lot of people, is taking that bold step from rough out to carving from a pattern and getting yourself so where you're able to carve from a pattern. And you can really take any rough out and turn it into a pattern. But I want to talk about that a little bit. So I've got this cowboy here. This one, this one here is this one is carved by my buddy PJ Driscoll. I was at his place and we were by the pool, and I was looking at this picture and I said, I have to have this. I gotta have this. And we found a way to make it work so that I can have it. I love PJ's work. And PJ's another carver that you can just look at it, you can tell that's PJ. Now, PJ will be the first to tell you that's a Chris Hammock design. The movement there, that's so Chris. But PJ used some of those elements, but he made it his own. And with Chris's permission, he teaches this one all over, and it's a favorite, and it's a favorite of mine. I love this. And so I was inspired by this carving. And so I thought, well, I'm going to use some of these elements and change it a little bit. So like in looking at the stance of the carving and looking what he did, I really loved the way he was standing. So I used that, created a pattern, And then I created something that was kind of different, but kind of similar. So I created this old guy. And I thought, I want to move that. Let's see, I want to move his head down a little bit further, make him look a little bit older, but it's very similar and that's from a pattern. Creating that from a pattern, but changing the hat, changing some things about it. And again, this piece, I'm not saying it's completely my own design. It was inspired by what Chris did, inspired by what a PJ did. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to take that any further. I'm going to take that even further. And this is kind of that next step where we start to enter in, this is my own piece. And so taking that from a pattern, where did it go? Oh, yeah. And then I lengthened the legs quite a bit. I dropped that head down even further, made that belly smaller. Let's see, took off the hat. And it's changed a lot. So it's almost unrecognizable from where it was, but it is a very similar pose, painted it differently. It looks different. And so that steps into, maybe that's my own creation at that point. And when I carved it, another thing is, as I carved it to push my creativity, setting those carvings aside, setting PJ's carving aside, setting my other carving aside, and creating this just out of my mind. And I brought in a little bit of Gene Zesch style in the legs. There's so many different styles there's so many, unless you're living in a vacuum, unless you're living in a cave, you are being inspired by other carvers. And that's good. It's okay. It's wonderful. And for the most part, the carving community embraces that and loves it, especially when you give them credit. And so that's some baby steps to creativity. Got a few more things. Take to develop creativity, maybe put an emphasis on quantity. And you don't want to carve every piece like it's going to be a competition winner. If you set out to carve every piece like it's going to win a competition, you're going to stifle your creativity. Maybe your emphasis should be like, I'm going to get through one quick, and I want to do a series of 3 of these. I'm going to do them fast, and I'm going to improve and put a little bit more emphasis on quantity and really making a lot of mistakes, allowing yourself to make mistakes. That's going to fuel your creativity. And then especially learning from the mistakes will help you to fuel your creativity. Another way to baby steps to creativity would be to limit your materials or limit your tools. That's when I got into my flat plane carving. I had a few years where this is what I was doing, where I was doing a lot of flat plane stuff like this. And I became intrigued with, let's see, what can I do with just a knife? That's only a knife. And that changed my carving forever. And I learned a lot, and it fueled my creativity by limiting the tool that I was using, going to a single tool, not because I only have a knife, but creating something with just a single tool, or changing the medium, maybe carve something out of butternut instead of carving something out of basswood. That can also help your creativity. And then stop letting yourself off the hook with saying, I'm just not a creative person, because you are. Betty says that looks like her high school government teacher. This one, Betty? I wonder what your high school government teacher would be saying right now, Betty. Yep. Stop letting yourself off the hook with creativity and saying, I'm just not a creative person, because you are, and force yourself to develop it. When I was learning piano, I got pretty good with the right hand, and my left hand was not so good. And so I played these songs that were left hand songs that just forced you to play with just the left hand. And my left hand got a lot better, but my music, all overall suffered for a while until I built that. The same thing is going to happen when you start creating your own work. You're going to the quality of your work may drop for a while because it's yours and you're creating, but in the long run, you're going to start creating some stuff that's unique and fun. So and then I wanted to talk just a little bit to you guys about my upcoming class in January. So this is January 3rd. We're going to be talking a lot about creativity, but what the course is going to be about is how to take this creativity and get yourself so you're not afraid to carve from cutouts, get yourself so that you're creating, but on a smaller scale, using miniatures to create. So I'll tell you like a quick little story about this little guy right here. So we were upstairs. My son had just gotten back. He'd spent some time in Italy. And I said, Parker, tell me about these old guys in Italy. And I said, how did they stand? And he stood just like this and kind of squatted down, put his hands behind his back like this. And he said, these guys in Italy, that's how they stand. They would just kind of squat down like this. Could you carve one of those? Came downstairs, got my clay out, molded it up in about 20 minutes or half an hour. 2 hours later, I had this thing done. I had it carved, and it wasn't painted yet, but I had it carved. And I had 2 hours invested into it because it's just a small piece. I mean, these chips fly off of here really fast. And so I really feel that carving these miniatures is a huge step to your creativity. And that's what the class is going to be about. We're probably going to end up doing 4 miniatures in 4 days. Haven't decided exactly which one. They're gonna be new. Another one that I did. Oh, I just dropped something. I probably broke it. Oh. Nope, I didn't break it. This is the guy that I dropped. He's kind of a modern day hipster, kind of a geek, kind of guy with an iPad. But this is, I carved kind of a grandpa with his phone, and this guy's kind of a hip grandpa. He's got some pretty hip Argyle socks. He's got the beard. I also decided I wanted to play with glasses, like over the eyes. And I wanted to play with just a rim on the top of the glasses, not all the way around. So there's a whole bunch of things I was exploring. I was exploring a new hairstyle here, like combing it up on both sides, like some of these old guys. I saw a guy at the bus station that was doing that. Thought I need to carve that. I wanted to play with a watch. That was another thing I was toying around with. So just this little piece. It helped me to be creative quickly. It's a 2 hour. That's a 2 hour piece. I just cut the profile out both ways. I did a little bit of clay. I molded him up in some Sculpey before I did it, and then used that as my model, and went from there. And that's what we're going to be talking about in the class. Would love to have you. It's January 3rd. Go to Woodcarving Academy and check out the class, and it'll show you how to sign up. And you can drop me an email or an Instagram, and I'll get you going, get you in the class. We'd love to have you there and have you join me in January. So I just wanted to give us a little bit of time here at the end, and wanted to talk to you guys about, or if you had any questions or thoughts that you wanted to add to creativity. But other than that, that's kind of my creativity lecture. Thoughts or ideas? Yeah, go ahead.
On new pieces, do you always work them out in clay first?
Not always. Just the good ones. When people say, "Do you mold them all in clay?" I'll say, "Actually, no. Just the ones that turn out well." Lately I've been doing that more and more. I was in a parking lot of a hotel with Rich Weatherby and another hero of mine. And by the way, Rich and I are going to be teaming up. He and I are teaching a full week together in Wisconsin this summer. in June. So watch for that. But anyway, Rich and I were in a parking lot. We were talking about creating, and he just looked me in the eye and he just said, just sculpt it, work it out in clay. And the guy's been creating masterpieces for a long time. And I thought, you know what, there's something to that. And I just was reminded, like anything that I want to be really good, I sculpted in clay. And believe it or not, it saves me time in the end anyway. Like all of the time that I put into sculpting it, it's going to go so much faster because my brain just has already wrapped itself around it. But Blake, sometimes you're just not in the mood to sculpt too. Sometimes you're just in the mood to carve. And when that's the case, sometimes I'll go. Yes, Mitch Stein said, I loved your baby steps to creativity. It really got me thinking. Thanks, Mitch. I'm hoping that it'll get you take some small steps and get into that creative realm. Other thoughts and questions? I'd be happy to answer questions. Hey, Fabio, I really appreciate that. He said, well done, gentlemen. Great presentation. Thank you, Fabio. You guys have any questions about what I do or upcoming things?
I have a quick question. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
So I'm new to carving and I haven't really done bodies with legs and stuff. And I have an idea that my husband wants me to make for him for his work. But do you think it would be a good idea to try rough outs first before I do that, since I've never really done bodies and such? And what size would you suggest?
Okay. Yeah. And what's your name?
It's Katie.
Yeah, Katie. You've sent a few texts during the thing. Okay. Yeah. So Katie, I would highly recommend jumping in with the rough out. I think that would be a fantastic idea. And I would recommend doing 5 or 10 of those just to get yourself up and running and going. There are a lot of websites like Dwayne Gosnell sells a ton of rough outs. You can find a lot of these carvers. I'm not one that really sells my rough outs other than for classes. But I know Dwayne sells a lot of them. Roger Stegall sells a lot of them. I know Bruce Akeney sells some. So you can find some rough outs. As a matter of fact, the Woodcarving Academy, Yaron Yedidia, he posted a list of places where you can find rough outs. If you can look for that on Facebook, you can find that and go buy you some of those, and buy one that's similar to what you want to do, and then do it and make your own. That's what I would recommend, Katie. Great question.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Anybody else have any questions? What size do you consider miniatures, like you'll teach in your class? So for me, miniatures would be Michael Bills. You're welcome and thank you. For me, miniatures are going to be. You're welcome, Garth. Yeah, miniatures are going to be like 2-inch stock or 2.5-inch stock, and probably 4 to 5 inches tall. That's what I consider a miniature. Now, that's just what I call it. I mean, it's all semantics. You could, and to be a miniature in the CCA category, it needs to be 2 inches by 2 inches by 2 inches. But for me, I call these miniatures like they're little carvings. So like 2.5-inch stock is probably about where I'm going to be in the class, and that's where the patterns will be. Great question. Does anybody else have any questions? Hey, go Aggies. Thanks, Garth. Well, Blake, I just want to thank you and Dave for having me on today. And I think speaking for everybody, thank you guys so much for what you do for wood carving. I think that the International Wood Carvers has changed the landscape of carving forever. It's a huge uptick and in carving, and a lot of new carvers, and I think you guys are right in the foundations for that. So thanks for all you do, and want to thank you all for your time and look forward to having you in class, and we'll see you down the road.
All right, Ryan, and thank you again for coming on and sharing with us. Again, Ryan's class is starting on January the 3rd. So go over to Woodcarving Academy and check out how to get signed up there. Get signed up early so you know the materials you'll need. And I look forward to taking that class with you as well. Just want to remind y'all again, we won't meet again until December the 6th. We'll have Roger Stegall coming in to do a demonstration, and we look forward to that. Just want to say happy Thanksgiving for all of you all that are in the United States, and we'll look forward to seeing you back here on the 6th. This has been the International Association of Woodcarvers. Thank you all.